welcome to Small Town Music. We're back after kind of a week off. I know I've been crazy busy.
She's finished her master's! Yay!
Yeah, I had to do my master's comprehensive final, and if you don't know what that is, good.
Lucky you.
Yeah, I did an oboe recital like 3 hours away, and I had 2 concerts and county band fest and a lot of things. So we're back, and we have a guest today.
We do. So we're really excited to have Amy with us. She is our second guest that we've had with us. She also teaches at a small school nearby, so we're really excited to have her with us, and we'll just kind of chat about what her program's like. Because like we've said, every small town program is a little bit different, and so just to give you an idea of what others are facing. So welcome, Amy. If you would just tell us a little bit about your program, what you have, what are some of the things you love about it, maybe what some of the challenges you face.
I know Juliana talked a little bit about like her college that she went to. She went to a really small college that was very different from IU. So I don't know what your background there is. Yeah.
Well, I went to high school at a pretty small school. It's a little bit bigger now, in Butler, Indiana, up in DeKalb County. So we would graduate about 80 per class, something like that. And it was a small band. And then I did my undergraduate at Ball State. And I know at one point I had a picture from the newspaper of my high school band that's my mom had sent me, after I graduated, and I had it posted in my dorm room, and one of my classmates who had gone to a very large school said, "Hey, is that just a picture of all your band's section leaders or what?" And he said, "Oh no." And he actually went, "Oh, I have a lot to learn, don't I?" Because he just thought all bands are going to be big. So I think especially high school really prepared me for that. But did my area, so I was actually a trombone major at Ball State. And then I'm in my 30th year. I know I'm kind of a rare breed
Okay.
that is not only that old, but has been 30 years in one place. It was my very first job out of school. And at our school, it's also very small. I would say some classes that we graduate are in the 60s or 70s. I have a junior high choir that is 7th and 8th grade. Then I have a high school choir, 9 through 12. We have a audition-only extracurricular group that we do a variety of music. Like we'll do a show choir-ish number with choreography, but we'll also do something a little bit more formal, often for a contest or something. And we do a musical each year and solo and ensemble contest, things like that. Our numbers have been, sort of up and down. I've had as many as, I think the topping out was like 69 kids in junior high chorus. That was kind of too many, so for a while we were able to separate, and I had a 7th grade choir and an 8th grade choir. Then we kind of changed some things, and it got a little harder for kids to be in it, or a little, I think, less attractive because they have to give up a study hall, and they, so it's like they're terrified coming into 7th grade. And so they're like, "Oh, I have to have a study hall." I'm like, "Trust me, you do not." So like this year we just have, it's not been my smallest group. We're kind of on the uptick, but I've got 13 in junior high and just 16 in high school, which is, I think, the smallest I've had. So, and I think that's the gist of it.
Yeah. At your elementary, is there full, do they get full elementary music all the way through?
They do, and I know the schedule varies from year to year, but we do have a full-time teacher down there who is excellent, and it's K through 12 that she works with. I think it's probably, for the most part, one of those deals where she gets each group maybe once a week as a special, and not super long, but she does get some good things done with them.
Yeah, that's what we have here. Actually, unfortunately, I've heard of more and more schools that are, while they still want to they want to have a great choir program, they have a great band program, but a lot of smaller schools are unfortunately opting to get rid of that elementary music piece, which is really frustrating.
Exactly. I think that's going to spring.
And it's just going to magically happen.
Yeah.
It's going to magically happen whenever they hit junior high.
Somehow that's a magic money amount that they're going to save so much money by cutting that program and that one teacher.
So 30 years. I mean, I know I'm in year 15.
Year 6.
So we've got the gamut here, but something that Katie and I talk about is right now she is the senior most band director in our county. We have a lot of, so
Daunting.
it's crazy the amount of turnover. And in fact, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do this podcast, is just because
To reach out and to kind of.
it just seems like, because we love teaching in a small school,
I do too, yeah.
and so I guess what's helped you stick around for 30 years? What's kept you, whenever the big school down the road job opens up,
And everyone sends you the listing and says, "Oh, you should apply."
hey, you should apply here. What keeps you coming back?
At first it was just because I felt like doing choir as my main job was not what I had really intended. I was in choir some in high school when I could fit it into my schedule because they made it very difficult to do both. And so the first year out, there was actually a glut of teachers, music teachers, if you can imagine too many teachers wanting jobs. That's what happened. And so I was actually, about half of my friends that graduated with me did not get a job that first year or two, just because there weren't any. So I was like, I'll take anything. So I'm like, okay, I'm a trombone major, but I'm qualified on paper to teach choir. So I felt like that first year was just me kind of getting my feet underneath me. The band job at our school opened up my second year, and I was like, I just think it would be like a first year all over again, and I don't think I can do that.
That's what I've heard, because Laura and I both, we haven't changed jobs, and our Juliana down the road, she had 1 year at one school, and now this year at WRV, and she's like, I don't want to leave. Like, I don't want to do this again.
Yeah.
I'm not doing a first year again. Like,
And
First year survival mode.
Yeah. A few years later, there was exactly what you described, and I got a phone call saying, "Hey, you interested?" And I was like, "No." I do. I mean, I like the smaller school, and it was too nearby too. I just thought it would be kind of strange to just pick up and move not too far away and all that stuff. And yeah, I was really fine where I was. So. By that point, I felt like I had really developed some relationships with the families and things like that there. Now I'm teaching those kids, and even have some of their grandkids. I probably won't make it to their grandkids because it may not be around quite that long, but they're in elementary school, so I'm like, so it's just, yeah. And I do love the small school setting, the benefits of it, so.
You can really build some amazing relationships with the families, especially when they have multiple kids, and you raise them up, and then you know them from church, or you know them from softball or whatever. You really build that.
yeah.
You build that connection with them. So something that you and I had talked about, and something that is kind of interesting. So as music departments everywhere are threatened, I know something that you and I have both done is added a second licensure onto our license, which seems like a wise thing to do. You think like, well,
On paper.
if music is going to be cut, I need a job. I need to be able to teach something. And so I know a few years ago, I added business and information technology onto my license. I have some experience just, working in offices and with business sort of things. And I have an interest in computers and teaching kids how to use technology. So I took the test and passed the test and added that onto my license. And now you've done that too. We've had a little bit different experience. So why don't you share with us?
In high school, knew I wanted to teach, but was really torn between music and English because I really enjoyed both. And so several years later, when I saw some handwriting on the wall, and our school was making a lot of changes, that I was like, this may be part-time. And anybody who's taught even 5 minutes knows that there's no such thing as teaching part-time music. It might be part-time pay, but you're still gonna,
Right.
yeah.
Working full-time.
It's still a full-time job, no matter what they're calling it. So I was like, well, I might as well, make sure that I've got a full day and I'm getting, compensated for that. And I do enjoy it. But of course, English is a really dumb choice because it takes almost as much time as teaching music, so it's probably
Maybe
the,
worse.
yeah, it's the worst combination. So, but I did do it because I wanted to, and it was, I just kind of put that on my license and didn't say a lot. And it was a few years later before one of our administrators was like, "Hey, guess what I found out?" And I was glad I did it because it was right for the time, and it was good for our school and our students. So I've taught some high school classes like drama lit and film lit, and I've been teaching 7th grade ELA English for the last couple of years now. So it's kind of a lot, but there are benefits too. You know, it's not. You still have a lot of freedom in developing your curriculum and everything like in music, but there are at least often more guidelines to kind of help you rein that in and a path to follow to some degree.
How do you think your teaching English classes has affected your music department?
As far as like numbers or a positive or a negative, I don't really see that it has much.
Okay.
I know for me, time-wise, the paper grading and learning, and in some cases developing a new class has been a time issue, but I don't feel like that's had anything to do with my numbers or anything, because it's the same number of periods. And prior to like teaching English, it was usually like I'd get a study skills class or something else, which I also enjoy.
I have a study hall this year. It's not my favorite.
Yeah, or the worst, lunch duty.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know.
I was a kindergarten aide at one point, just like literally making copies for kindergarten teachers. And I was like, this is awful.
I would do anything over lunch duty.
Yeah.
I just really, really hated it. So.
Bless the lunch duty keepers out there.
It's like battle pay.
Bless you.
It is.
Bless
It
you.
is, yeah.
Is that time and a half? Is that hazard?
So I was like, I don't even care if I have to grade a lot more papers or do more lesson plans or whatever. I just anything over lunch duty. Yeah.
I found kind of a weird workaround. Like I didn't add anything to my license, but we have a makerspace at our school, so that has like 3D printers and a shop and a Glowforge laser cutter and a t-shirt press. And so the whole idea is like students are making things and like hands-on, project-based learning, and I really enjoy that. And so I've kind of been able to sneak my way in there and like learn a lot with that. So then it's like, oh, you have this extra period, like, oh great, Katie can do makerspace, and that's been really nice because it's like I really enjoy it, and it's also like I didn't have to add anything crazy to my license, and they're not necessarily like taking me away. So that's
Nice.
yeah.
So I'll say my experience with adding onto my license was maybe a little bit different, and just because I already have such a full schedule. So I teach, because I teach all the general music, my day is right now I have sometimes I would have, some years I would have 2 periods of middle school or high school, and then the rest of my day is elementary music. So whenever we lost both of our business teachers at school, one retired, and then a semester later, our other business teacher got another job. They said, hey, guess who can also teach business classes? And so I got pulled to teach two different business classes, 2 or maybe even 3 one year. And because of that, then that meant entire grades of elementary kids did not get music, because we had because our elementary school does common planning time. So that means that all of the 2nd grade has activity during period 2. So if I'm teaching business period 2, and if Katie's not available to teach elementary music because she's teaching a band class, then that means that 2nd grade just doesn't get music that year.
Yeah.
So that became kind of a big.
We have seen the effects of that in our high
We
school
have
programs,
absolutely.
and I think COVID plus the effect of those kids like losing music curriculum, our numbers have dropped significantly.
Yeah. So fortunately, blessedly, we now have a full-time business teacher that's taken that back, and I'm now fully music again, which is wonderful. But
Yeah, we had some parents call in,
which was great. We had some
parents
great
can be
support.
powerful on that front if you need a little oomph.
So just I guess a word, that adding onto your license can be a great way to help you professionally.
Branch out a little bit.
but also if you're licensed to teach it, your administration can, they can make you teach it. And you don't really get, you don't really get an option in that. You don't really get a choice. They can set your schedule that way. So
Like, I'll be honest, I have no idea if there's like a STEAM license. I'm sure somewhere in something, there's some kind of STEAM something. Thankfully they haven't asked me to like put that on my license, but that was something that like I came across, like a professional development workshop. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, I know I hear STEAM a lot and I get really mad about it because it's like the new thing. I was like, if you can't beat them, join them. So, and like, don't be afraid to branch out also. So like, if something interests you, then like, look into it. You don't have to like make any concrete decisions, but.
Yeah, and it can be, I found, especially back when I taught study skills, because every 7th grader took that. And 1 year I had 7th and 8th grade. So it was kind of a recruitment for me, you know, and sometimes I'd have those kids that would then join choir in 8th grade just because I could kind of talk it up and stuff. But I also feel like I teach general music 7th and 8th grade as well. So I see pretty much all the kids in junior high at some point, except for the ones that are in band only. So, and I usually get to know them too, just from the neighborhood and stuff. Some years I have a guitar class, and they try to, and that can be anybody 9th through 12. So when they get a kind of a cluster of kids that have been requesting it for a year or two, they'll pop them in, and that's also the general music and other classes where I can kind of talk that up for the kids that, are just like, oh, I can't sing, so sometimes that's my way of sort of getting to them too. So it can help.
Come to the other side.
I don't know if I've been able to accomplish this, but I've always been told with those general music classes, like, be the coolest teacher ever, because then those kids, like, whether they join band or not, or choir, then that will at least kind of trickle down. Like, so they're a pretty cool person. I had this random class, but it was fun, So.
And it makes your life tolerable too.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure. Well,
What would you say some of your like education philosophy, your big like overarching, I don't want you to think you have to go like super in detail, but like your philosophy of music ed, like what do you feel that students should learn?
I watched the episodes where you guys talked about that, and I was like, yeah, that. So it's, lifelong learners, lifelong musicians, I think that's really important. It's great. I mean, I do have some former students that make music, teach music for a living, or a side hobby, side job and stuff too, and that's awesome. Half the time it's not the kids that you thought it was gonna be, so it's like, that's fantastic. So that's great if they do that, but I, again, having been in the community a long time, I see how it pays off. My church choir has people from 85 years old down to about 30, maybe a little younger, and those younger ones are my former students. So I see that, and I see them like encouraging their kids, and they keep doing it, and I love to see that. So it's really more about music, lifelong. And I know when I was in college, it was not at all popular. It was music for music's sake. It wasn't, you didn't have to justify it by saying it helped with other things, but I mean, it does. And so you're crazy not to point that out and, get maybe some people interested that way for something they're gonna possibly love for the rest of their lives. So
so Katie is actually just getting ready to start a community band.
Yeah, I'm doing a county community band.
And it's so exciting, just already seeing people who've responded to her emails and be like, oh, I'm so excited about this.
Yeah, and there's definitely people
and
that
like,
are
we
like,
can't
I don't have a
wait.
plan, but I would love to join. I'm like, well, I've got a couple. Like, let's hook you up.
So it's so exciting to see these people who remembered loving music in school, and they're gonna keep that going. And I love teaching my former students' kids, especially being K through 12. I get them pretty quickly.
Yeah.
my graduating seniors. It's not usually sometimes too long before I have their kindergartners. So, but I love seeing that they get so excited when their kids get old enough to be in Joyful Noise, to be in our elementary choir.
I'm old enough now that my one of my former students is a teacher that I work with, and so she has come in and played with our pep band. And then another teacher who I didn't teach, he's just a couple years younger than me, so I wasn't old enough to be his teacher, but he
I was his teacher.
he loves band. Like, band is his life. And so, like, any chance I'm like, hey, you want to come play with us? He's like super excited, and his two brothers who I did teach also, like, they're really into it, and like his mom still runs the fundraisers.
It's fantastic.
And that's great too.
Yeah.
Be able
Right?
to get sometimes the ones that, like, I did this for 10 years when my kids were in school, and now that my granddaughter's in, and you're like, come on back.
Like,
here.
come
Yeah.
on back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's great for the kids too to see, like, these are adults that have gotten other jobs and other, areas in life, but they're still making music, and I think that's really cool.
Absolutely. It's not about being the perfect musician. It's not about having flawless technique. It's about loving music and making that such an enriching part of your life. So, well, anything else you'd like
Any
to share
other
out?
thoughts or feelings about teaching in a small town? So many.
I mean, it's a special thing. And I think it's not necessarily for everybody, but I would encourage everybody to give it a try. Don't, just limit yourself if you're looking at your different job options and stuff like that, which, people have more of now with the teacher shortage. But I encourage people to give it a try, because it has a lot of its rewards that you don't really realize till you've done it a little while.
Indeed. Well, thank you so much, Amy, for joining us. Everybody, you can subscribe here, whether you're on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can find us on Instagram, small.townmusic.
Yep.
On Instagram, we got smalltownmusicpodcast@gmail.com. If you would like to reach out, have any questions for us, we're always wondering what episode we're going to do next.
If you have any suggestions on the next episode or questions, or like, okay, how do you start a 5th grade musical? Like, I'm required to do an elementary program. What does this mean?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we're glad to help out.
Thanks so much for watching.
Bye.
Bye.